Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the In the Galaxy podcast, Technology in the Galaxy with me, Michael G. Michael Gilkerson, what's up? And Jay Williams, what's cracking, man?
What's going on? This is part 3 of 3 with our boy Eric Blair over there. Did a little bit of a outfit change. Got into some loose butt pants, you know what I mean?
What's up, Eric?
That's right. Oh, nothing much, just chilling, ready to talk about some technology, which is not my forte, but I'll go ahead and play with y'all.
And if you didn't catch the first part of the podcast, Eric is a world traveler. He's written academic team questions for high schools, and not to mention a Jeopardy connoisseur, very good at Jeopardy, fluent in Espanol, and just stretches my mind to think about things differently, also with Jay. So it's a treat to have both of you on here for the opinions that we're going to discuss for this podcast.
Yay!
Yeah, so I'm going to stop complimenting you both now. And
Thank you, because I was getting afraid that you would come back to Kentucky and rape me in the butt.
Oh my
It was getting a little bit weird, buddy. A little bit weird.
So,
Eric's like a bottle of wine deep, just for our listeners. So
hey,
it's a good thing. I like it. I wish I was there myself.
I know. But yeah. So what I want to talk about is the Heartbleed bug, which not a lot of people know a lot about it. I know Jay and Eric aren't too familiar with it, but I'm not either. So here's the thing that I want to talk about with it is it's mostly like I just want to talk about the technical aspect of it, which is basically like I did all this research into passwords and security with authentication. And with this, you get into like crazy algorithms, you get into crazy formulas, certificates, bit currents and stuff like that. So like basically, I want to get into code first. So when you're writing code, you use all this different type of language, coding language, whether it's like PHP, HTML, CSS. There's a bunch of different kind of code for websites and stuff like that. And basically the best way to talk about this is to talk about it in forms of a house. And like the thing about it is, like with houses now, we have building codes. We have or like rules of like, oh, well, you can't put that wall there because structurally it won't support it. But the crazy thing is that we're in this new digital age of where the internet is so new. Like all this technology is so new. And I was listening to another podcast today where people were talking about, oh, well, they're still using this code that is 20 years old. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like in technology terms, it's like, oh, shit, well, that's old. But when we're actually talking about history and stuff like that, it's not that old. It's actually brand new. We're talking about 2 decades. Chinese civilization goes into like 5 centuries, thousands of years even long. Like you could go so deep with it.
Yeah, millennia for sure. More than 5 centuries.
Yes. Eric is our historian. Yeah, like thousands.
He's our fact checker on this one. You're just wrong. You're wrong.
For when I like bull crap about knowing something that I don't.
Yeah, but you're right in the sense that that there's so many different coding schemes along the internet, and really the beauty of the internet is the fact that it is completely deregulated in the sense where it's completely free and open, and there's not a ton of rules and nobody has their thumb on it, but that does leave the door open for a lot of people to mishandle it, which I'm assuming you're about to get into.
Yeah, so what I was talking about with the code is everybody codes differently. Like if you were like, even if we're talking houses that people are living in, the Chinese, the Indians, the Africans, the South Americans, the Native Americans, they all build houses differently. So it's kind of like that way with code too. So basically, I looked up all this shit about passwords. So, and then that's called authentication. It's called like two-way authentication. So it's got a public key and a private key. So basically your public key is your username. That's what everybody knows. And your private key is the password. So you've got username and password. And the way that you can authenticate is there's a bunch of different ways you can authenticate. Now, you can use different types of calculus or algorithms to do this. But basically with the Heartbleed bug, they found a vulnerability in it where basically your password is attainable through the code. And it's just code. It's you could just, somebody smart can get this code and extract it. And that's basically what the Heartbleed thing is. Now, it's very complicated to explain. I don't want to get too far into the technical part of it, but because I don't know myself, and there's all these podcasts out there about how complex it is, and people that actually write code will do things differently. It's my friend that does code talks about hanging a picture on the wall. He says you get 10 different people to hang a picture on the wall. They're going to use different techniques for how they swing the hammer, what kind of nail they use, etc. Well, basically now, with people being able to access your email and everything that flows through there, the main thing is that once people fix this vulnerability, like once people have been able to enter this house in and out, and look at all this information, once they fix it and patch it up, like Amazon did and Google did, once they patch up the code to where your password is protected again, this is why it's so important to go back and change it. Because, okay, they fixed it, but people could still have your information about your password. So that's why it's so important to change your password, is so that somebody can't be like, oh, well, I know his username, now I know his password, I'm going to go in and steal all this information. So
it's pretty much like the door was broken, so they replaced the door, but you have to change the locks to the door.
Ah, that's a good analogy, Jay.
What happened? God, you're so smart, Jay.
You're just looking so good over there with that. You guys have the facial hair that I'm jealous of, and I accidentally shaved my beard.
I just shaved off my big old beard.
Yeah,
oh, man, I just grew a beard, and it itches. I want to get rid of it, but I got to keep it going. I mean, I'm already
facial
committed.
hair in the galaxy.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to transition a little bit, people are all paranoid. They're like, well, you need to change your password immediately. I haven't changed my password immediately because here's my thing, and here's where I want to get into our kind of panel discussion, is that I think that humans inherently are good, and I think that like people that understand code and how to do this, they're really smart, and basically like in order for, like, you would have to be a huge douchebag to just collapse a civilization, for somebody to be like, oh, well, I know how to make the United States government just shut down and the world just collapse and make all this mayhem happen with the economy. And, you know, like, that's possible to do. Like, it's definitely within the realm of technology to make this happen. But I don't think there's somebody out there, there's some nerd right now at least, that's just going to say, oh, well, I'm actually going to do it. Have you guys seen the movie Inception?
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't really remember much about it. Yeah, go on.
So basically, it's kind of like Inception, of where this entire movie is just about layers of a dream within a dream within a dream, and extracting this information from this guy's head. Well, somebody actually one of our friends, Eric, Martin, Celeste's husband, was talking about this.
Yeah.
He was like, basically, the plot is that this guy wants to get information from this guy's brain to take over his company. And it's like, well, that's dumb. You know, you put all this energy and intricacy in getting this information, and then that's what it all boils down to. I just think it's a bit ridiculous to do that. So, I mean, here's my thing, Eric, as somebody that, you know, you may not be too familiar with Heartbleed and what it is now, but, you know, what are your thoughts on, as far as like human goodness and, you know, this vulnerability that we're seeing now with Heartbleed.
Okay, I think something that you're inferring or implying, rather,
Right.
would be that a person who is capable of doing such a thing possesses such an amount of reasoning, intelligence, that they would know better than to do such a thing.
Right. That's
Are you
what
saying
I'm
that?
implying. That's what I'm implying.
Okay, what about, though, a person who doesn't have that capacity, that rational capacity, but does have the desire to fuck shit up, to take over everything, to destroy everything, and in order to maybe create a power vacuum and usurp some power just to, for their own benefit? What prevents that person from seeking out one of these people that does have the knowledge, holding them at gunpoint and saying, you're going to die if you don't fuck this shit up for me?
Man.
Just power,
See, that's the crazy.
What I'm scared of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. And Jay, me and you have talked about, how the media hypes up issues of, scare tactics and stuff like that. But my whole thing with the Heartbleed issue is, like, imagine just being able to read Barack Obama's emails, or Vladimir Putin able to read Barack Obama's personal emails. Just think about just complete open vulnerability on everybody's part. And we're not just talking about little guys here. We're talking Google, that has just all this information on everybody, throughout the world, not just the United States, which is a superpower, but the world. And, we're talking Al-Qaeda even. Like, if somebody were to get this information out, I mean, it really could be bad.
I mean, we're speaking in complete hypotheticals,
right?
Pretty much. I mean, I think people should know, and if they don't, that's okay. But they should know that anything that you put on the internet has the ability to be, compromised in some way, shape, or form by people, because, but that's the thing about everything. I mean, in school, being a telecom major, we do a lot of research on the effects of media and the effects on, what the news reports and how people translate it, this and that. So the whole thing about the media is that they sensationalize things to play on people's fears. Well, here's the fact of the matter. Any three of us, or anybody listening to this, or anybody in the entire world, has the ability to walk out their door and not know at all what's going to happen to them. They could get hit by a car, they could get robbed, any of that stuff. So what if Barack Obama was all the stuff that let's say email didn't exist, but he had to do something with his, his messages and stuff, and he stored them in a box. Well, somebody can go and steal that box. Does that make sense? Like, like we live our lives with these risks and stuff. It just, what does the media want to hone in on to make people freak out about the most? Does that make sense? Like,
it does.
Of course, there's somebody that's out there right now that could hack into your email and take, read all your shit. Well, that's the case now, but that's been the case since really the internet was invented, and that's going to be the case for a long time. So, if you don't like it, get off the fucking internet. Shit, or get off the pot, Michael.
What's your take on that, Eric?
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, a lot of people were talking about, like, it's a bad thing to have this kind of transparency. Well, sure, you're not going to get your shits and giggles if things are transparent. You're not going to be able to have your secrets. You're not going to be able to get away with things, right? The only reason people can, like, to do bad things, they do bad things, and because there's a chance that they can get away with it, and there's a pretty good chance. However, if you have all this transparency, and whether it be on a small scale or large scale, you're not going to get away with this stuff. The world is going to be more peaceful, and more people are going to, like, conform, because they're not going to want people to, well, if you fuck up, all this is transparent, and there's going to be a vigilante posse that comes after me and hold me accountable. It's the accountability issue. People don't want to be held accountable. People want to get away with it. They want to, and this gets into the nature of people. It's the animal instinct of people to get away with these things and cause and to disrupt, whatever is going on. And this would definitely hold us accountable and create a peaceful society. But in a way, we resist that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's funny that people say, "Oh, you're fucking with my privacy," but when if it's going to create a better world, more peaceful world, I mean, don't you want peace? You might say you want to, but then again, you would disagree with this invasion of privacy. It's kind of like yes, the United States government has done some shitty things, as has every other government. But as soon as things were leaked, information was leaked by what's his name, Bradley Manning, and who's this other cat?
Snowden,
Julian Assange, and who else? Edward Snowden. Yeah. Ever since these guys started leaking a lot of information, it started holding the United States government accountable for the wrong actions that it was doing before. Well, the government didn't like that, because they would no longer be able to have an advantage in many ways, and they want that advantage. It's a game. They want an advantage over another party.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that gets us into the whole idea, like pretty much you were saying, of transparency, and actually the role of media. In terms of the relationship between the media and the government, you talk to anybody that went to journalism school, and they'll tell you what they teach you is it's the journalist's role to be a checks and balances system for the government. And
Sure.
For a long time, the government has had its hand on the media and whatnot, with money in some way, some shape or form. So now we're seeing a technological revolution in terms of the people are having to be the checks and balances for the government. And I think, transparency, it can make people scared, like really, really scared. But, somebody's got to be holding these fucking people accountable. You know what I mean? Look at the bank crisis, the bank collapse and all that stuff that happened. People were straight up stealing money from just everyday people who work their ass off. And which led to all that stuff, Occupy Wall Street and all that junk. So I don't know. I don't know. Is it a good thing? I don't know.
Well,
it's a good thing. We're not accepting it yet. We don't know how to fucking handle it right now, man. We just don't know how to handle it. It's going to be a good thing. If you consider peace, stability as positive, then it's got to be good, right? Sure.
And the interesting thing about this Heartbleed bug is, like, Google, Amazon, from what I've heard, is they've known that this vulnerability exists. So they've known that the door's been unlocked, or that somebody could get in, but they haven't fixed it because, hey, it's a lot of work to fix this. It's like going into a house and being like, oh, well, the foundation's messed up. We've got to tear it all down and start over again and redesign it and do this. Well, like, apparently somebody has just said, you know what, we're going to expose this. We're going to let people know that their information is vulnerable. So I think it's kind of a piece, kind of keeping peace in the other way of, letting people, of saying, hey, you need to be transparent about this to people. Let them know that their information isn't as safe as you're saying it can be.
Yeah. And you think that's the reason why whoever, what penetrated this program's faults or whatever, you think that's why they did it, is to expose it? Or you think it was actually that like altruistic, if that's the word you want to use, maybe?
Yeah, because this is a lot of work, and it's a lot of people that know about it, and apparently somebody even made a logo for this thing. Like, the actual Heartbleed bug is called, it's about SSL security, like the different types of layers of security, and it's like it's got this code name like SL00.02, blah blah. Well, somebody went and made a graphic design of the heart, and it's actually bleeding, and they named it.
Okay, yeah, I saw that logo once upon a time. Actually, I see it right now. Okay, I feel you then.
Yeah, right. But to me, I just think it's really interesting because it's so intricate and complex, about this whole thing, about the whole Heartbleed thing. But, my point is, I think people are ultimately good. Like overall, people are good. Like Eric, you've hitchhiked before. A lot of people are like, no, don't hitchhike. It's dangerous. You're going to get killed. Somebody's going to slit your throat, because I read about it one time that somebody's going to slit your throat and shoot you.
Sure, yeah.
But what happened? Like, what happened when you actually hitchhiked? And not just in South America, but in the United States, you've hitchhiked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell us about your experience with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the times I hitchhiked, I was outside of Cincinnati, and a Detroit truck driver asked me to ride naked in the passenger side seat. I mean, it was terrible. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, that did happen. That actually did happen, but that was one out of many, many cases.
Wait, so that did happen? He did ask you to ride naked?
Yeah, he was very interested in me riding naked. Yeah, he said he's gotten other boys to do it before.
Why?
And I was like,
did he want to like?
No, come on. It doesn't even matter. Well, because he was weird and perverted. I mean, that's why he did it. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. Just to prove your point, though, out of the, hundreds and hundreds of times that I've hitchhiked in many, many countries, nothing bad has ever happened, really. And even in that case, the guy didn't really, like, press it that much. You know, he was just kind of like, you want to do this? And I was like, no. He's like, are you sure? And I'm sure. Are you sure? Sure. I'm sure, dog. I'm sure. Just let me out of here, dog. And then that was it. It's never been anything violent or anything.
You know the rules of the road, Eric.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know.
Well, that kind of brings us around to another thing that we would talk about pretty frequently is just how scared society is of things that they shouldn't even be scared of. Like, for instance, the whole idea and phenomenon of locking your front door at night is actually a fairly recent phenomenon. Probably, I think it was early 90s. People started doing that just because there was a big transition in news reporting to all this violent stuff. And, if it bleeds, it leads, that sort of whole idea in news. Like this whole idea, I remember they did a study one time of people. It said, is New York City a dangerous place? Because, they see all these TV shows, these crime dramas all happen in New York City, and they're like, yes, New York is a dangerous place. Where is actually New York really, the crime rate in New York isn't that high. Some of the higher crime rates are in your real rural places, like, just like real rural places like Detroit, obviously impoverished places, not a place has a lot of money.
Did you call Detroit rural? Come on, man.
No. I'm just saying like impoverished areas like Detroit, like a Detroit place right now. Or rural company or rural.
Okay, gotcha.
Or rural places.
Rural.
Also,
it's a hard word to say.
It's easier to say in Spanish.
How do you say it in Spanish?
Rural.
Okay.
Rural. That Amir record was rural. Okay. Anyways,
sorry to interrupt.
So, one little transition thing. You guys are familiar with Anonymous? Yes. Michael, you're familiar with Anonymous? Huh?
Is it
the group, the internet group Anonymous?
No.
I am.
Okay, so Anonymous is pretty much a online activist group. Nobody, hence the name, nobody knows who Anonymous is. Nobody knows where Anonymous is. It's essentially a network of people, a smaller network than people give credit for, but they're essentially online vigilantes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They pretty much police the entire internet for things that they deem immoral and stuff like that. So and they kind of go above and beyond stuff in general, almost to stake their claim as the good guys. So they'll do stuff like they'll hear. I'm just giving it some random example that's not true, but this is for warning. I'm saying this is not true. It's an example, but
okay.
Let's say Fox News all of a sudden starts enslaving children. Okay, let's just say something like that happens.
Hypothetically.
It could probably happen.
It probably could happen. So
it wouldn't be a stretch. I don't think.
Anonymous would say, they would threaten them and say, you guys need to stop this or we're going to pretty much wreak internet havoc. And if they don't stop it, what they do, and right nowadays, huge revenue streams through online portals and whatnot, through websites, and it's a big deal. If a website goes down, like imagine if Amazon went down, like that'd be a big fucking deal. Yeah. So what they would do is that they would essentially hack Fox, who was doing this, bad thing, and they would pretty much crash their website and do all this other stuff. They could even get in there and find information that they could expose to the world, like WikiLeaks style. And they do this stuff in the name of good and in the name of the internet. Another actual example that happened, and I'll give you two. One, when what's the I forget his name now, and I really apologize. The African American kid who got shot. That was Trayvon Martin. So actually, no, I'm sorry. That's not a good example. I think they had something to do with that. No, this was something else. Do you remember the football team who some players had raped some kids or some
Duke lacrosse?
No, this is another situation. There was a high school football team. I think it was in Ohio, where the star players, like were involved in some sort of rape scandal, and the school pretty much covered it up because it was a successful team. Well, Anonymous had gotten a hold of this and hacked into these people's phones and actually found physical records, video footage, text message footage, and they completely released it to the entire world and said, these people did wrong and, did something really good. So, and then the other thing that they do when they talked about all that stuff going on with the internet, like they were going to try to regulate the internet. Do you remember when that happened last year?
No.
I think Obama tried to enact, or he tried to put an act forward where America was going to police the internet pretty much and censor the internet and all the stuff that went on and filter stuff. And Anonymous completely went after him and shut it down. So they're like the good guys. I was going to ask you your opinions on it, but Michael, I had to just educate him on that, which is fine. But
I had no idea about that.
I mean, I tend to think that stuff like that is awesome. I think it's
really
great
cool.
that there's people. I think it's great that there's people out there that are trying to do good. And I think that just speaks to your theory on people being inherently good and kind of using these hacking powers for, good instead of evil. So.
No,
that's one of the biggest and most important issues that's going on in the world right now is about the leaks, ever since Julian Assange and the whole WikiLeaks thing, and then now Bradley Manning, Edward Snowden, these guys have to run for their lives just because they're trying to bring forth information to the public and actually educate, the public on stuff that's going on.
Right.
Then governments are like trying to suppress it. This is one of the biggest, you got through the Cold War, you got like proxy wars, and you got dictatorships from both the right wing and the left wing. Well, now the thing is like governments against like freedom fighters, but like technology freedom fighters. For me, I think that's going to be like the defining struggle of our generation and maybe another generation to come.
Well, you look at the media, what they've fucking done to this Julian Assange guy. I mean, this guy exposed straight up war crimes that the U.S. had commit by showing footage of U.S. Military aircrafts shooting on civilians and just saying some awful stuff like, "Oh, look at that bitch, I'm gonna shoot her," and they actually shows footage of like people like of a helicopter shooting at like civilians. Yeah. It's terrible stuff, and the U.S. should be held accountable for stuff like that. Yeah. And the media completely flipped it, and now he's like some sort of weirdo dude who's seeked asylum in England because of some bizarre rape thing that they just completely made up. Where and whatever is, are you familiar with it?
Well, I don't think they actually made that up. I believe Assange is Australian because the Aussies talk.
No, he's not Australian.
No, Are you sure?
I'm looking it up right now. Fact check.
He's Australian. He's Australian.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but then he was visiting Sweden, and then there was this charge that came up about him raping somebody, some woman or something. I don't. It might have been a guy. I don't know who he raped.
He is Australian.
Yes, he is definitely Australian.
Yes. Yeah, I remember the Aussies talking about him.
Yeah, nobody knows if it was, true. It may have been consensual, but, somebody's arm might have been twisted to be like, hey, you don't say that he raped you, we're going to kill you. I mean, CIA, secret organizations do this shit, So.
Well, the story behind the rape law over there is slightly different. The deal, like, according to him.
In Sweden?
Yeah, according to him and according to his testimony was the fact that it was consensual sex, but what was not consensual was whether or not the woman allowed him to use a condom or not. And because he didn't use the condom, it was deemed rape.
Oh.
That's pretty much what it boils down to. The woman has said that she consented, but she did not consent to some word that I don't even know. It's like
raw
some
dog.
funky. It's that's where the gray area is, and that's pretty much why I guess wherever he's at granted him asylum was because they thought that was a pretty shitty rule to begin with, or something like that. I don't remember, but it's pretty crazy. Is it rape? Is it rape if you tell him? Yeah, you can have sex with me, but just make sure. Okay, just like
so she's like, make sure you wear a condom, and he's just like, yeah, okay, but he didn't really. Is that what he's saying? Okay,
pretty much.
I mean, okay, that's not
I understand.
100% consensual. It's, I mean,
yeah,
that partner is a little bit at fault too, perhaps for, I don't know. I don't want to say that though. God,
yeah.
He just wanted to wiki leak inside of her, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God! Wow, that was I don't know. That was a pun. I'm not gonna do an adjective to describe.
The line
it.
has been crossed.
Wow, podcast
anyway,
is off the rails.
I don't know. Maybe it was rape. Maybe it wasn't. We won't know.
The bottom line is honesty. If you say you're gonna use a condom, then just use a condom. I mean. If you want to go raw dog, then go raw dog. I mean,
yeah, it's probably best to do that. To avoid.
How did we get off on this? How did we get off on this?
I saw it coming the whole time.
Hey, I'm not getting off on it, dog.
No, but see, like that's kind of my thing. Is to date back to this. Like with humans, a lot of it just boils down to sex and emotions and relationships and having companionship. But like these people that are, I'm making a point. Eric is throwing his hands up. He's like, "What are you talking about? Make a point." But my point is, like, if there's this nerd guy that's trying to impress a girl, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I know about certificates and key code error, and I collapsed the world's internet from doing this." The girl's not going to be like, "Whoa, you're cool. Let's go on and." Get it on or whatever. Let me be your boyfriend. Like that's not going to get that guy girls or girl guys or the version of that. I can only speak from guys' experience. But like my main point is that's not going to earn them cool points to like get companionship. I mean, maybe it will. Maybe it won't.
Circles, yes.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Blair?
I don't know. I kind of zoned out on myself.
Yeah, I did too. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of lost me.
I wasn't expecting you to ask me to respond. If that was ever certain of anything, it was that you would not ask me to rebuttal of what you just said, and therefore I zoned out. Guilty.
This is the trouble you get into when you're actually. We have to talk about. Actually something thought-provoking at the end of the 3 podcasts that we do as we could be like, Amir fucking sucks right now, like there are too many breakdowns.
Let me read these comments off the internet. They're pretty
suck
funny.
my dick.
No, the only thing that's going through my head right now is like how much I would love to see a transcript of this podcast and see how it goes from like a very specific topic of Heartbleed to like national security threat to rape in Sweden And like whether it's consensual, if
I agree
whether
100%.
if consensuality is based
Is that a
upon
word?
condom use or not. I don't know. I just made it up. No, just consent. I guess
Like Lefa, like Wiz Khalifa
like
and
Lisa,
Lefa.
right? But yeah, I don't know. I just want to see. Oh, God, there's so many tangents,
It's
but
like
I don't know.
how did we go to talking about security layers on the internet to not using a condom during sex? Because
Layers,
And
layers, lambskin over your penis. I think that's a good a good way
no,
to
but
wrap it
like,
all up.
okay, no, I'm
No,
holding you guys to
no.
this. I'm holding you guys to this. Like, just because that possibility exists doesn't mean it's going to happen. Because they're like, oh, well, somebody could take this vulnerability and take over the world. Well, I don't think that's going to happen because people are more concerned about sex and music. That's my point.
all right, all
There's
right.
a lot of people in the world, though. I mean, all it takes is one person to fuck it all up.
Good point,
I disagree. I kind of agree with Michael. I'm more of an optimist in all. Oh shut! Don't give me that face. Anyway, I'm more like Michael. I think I'm more optimistic about things. Even if one person did hold somebody at gunpoint and did this, somebody would be there to correct the problem soon after and rebuild it. I mean, it's the way it goes. There's a disaster, things get rebuilt, and usually they get rebuilt better.
I
So,
agree with
I mean, I'm
I
confident in
definitely
that.
agree.
Yeah, I think. I mean, maybe somebody could like really try, and maybe even make some, some deep progress and fucking some shit up, for lack of a better words. But people would always, fix it in the end. So
I agree with that. I mean, there's obviously a short sight of looking at things, but then there's like the afterthought. I mean,
yeah.
until the world explodes, there's going to be tragedy, and there's going to be things to fix that tragedy. It's a good point.
This whole thing with Heartbleed, I mean, sure, some people might take advantage of this, that it's exposed. Some people might want to use it for their own profit. But you know what? There's a bunch of these companies are finally recognizing that this exists, and okay, we got to do something about it now. We got to close these holes, right? We got to patch it all up. It's time to invest the money, or else we lose everything. And they don't want to lose everything. They don't want to. So you know what? They're going to say, all right, well, we'll go ahead and dish out these millions of dollars to hire these super geeks to fix this problem and to cover up, or to repair all the bad done by somebody, right? Which wasn't really even bad in the first place, unless somebody took advantage of it, which was possible and probably did happen to a certain scale. But
yeah, I mean, I think this dives into a more ethical question of, like, just because you're smarter than most people, just smarter than the general public, okay? Let's say you're smarter than the general public and you don't like the band Amir because you know that they're shitty. You just know that much more. Like, what is it? What's your ethical responsibility to let the general public know, to, like, inform them and to educate them? And
you must.
Well,
just like you thought that album was good. You thought that Emir album was good. And Jay and I had to educate you and inform you that no, it's actually pretty bad, Michael. It's pretty bad.
Or not just, it's not necessarily bad as plagiarism, redoing the same things over and over again.
I mean, that constitutes bad, Michael. That constitutes bad.
Yeah, true. Plagiarism. Stealing, a form of stealing.
Yeah, redundancy. I mean, that's just boring, and boring stuff is bad.
What is good?
Lyrics, no contribution, just pure emotion with like no control at all. Come on, I mean, that's retarded. Yeah. Anywho,
but this I feel that we're wrapping up soon. So
I feel like we're just running out of steam.
Yeah, it's late over here on the East Coast, Michael, guilty way.
Let me say this. Let me bring it all back. First of all, I want to thank Eric for being here.
Yes.
You're amazing. But I want you to do. I have a request. I have a request for you.
Oh Lord.
Do you still have? Do you still have your notes from the Amir review?
I do. Yeah, they're right here.
Will you please, for those that didn't, this is like the band like saying, okay, what songs do you want to hear? I want to hear, for those that didn't hear the podcast, Amir podcast, will you please just read the YouTube comments?
Let me just sum it up. So Jay and Eric.
No, I don't want you to sum it up.
No. I'm not summing up. I'm giving them background. So Jay picks a metal album for me to listen to. Jay and Eric are metal experts. They ask me what I give the band. I'm like, oh, they're great. I loved it. I give them a B. And then Eric is like, they're unoriginal. I give them an F. And Jay is like, they're copying off all these people. I give them a low grade. So Eric looked up reviews about this band's album.
I didn't look at reviews. I listened to the album on a free YouTube stream and then read some of the comments that were below the video.
Oh, okay.
That's all I did, man. That's all I did. And some of them were gems. You know, the first one is by a fan. It said, "This song and band is sublime. Fuck him, your haters." All right, cool. All right, I guess I respect that, but I don't respect the way you say it. We got a quote by a hater, and I got that written here. If you can see, quotes by haters, and haters is spelled with a Z. So, quotes by haters. Quote: Seven Dust called. Apparently, you didn't ask permission to use this riff. Yeah, they ripped off Seven Dust, which is a terrible, terrible band. Another quote by a hater. The song was called E. They call it E because that's the only string they use. And they even wrote classic. The last one, probably the best, which is by a fan of this horrible, horrible band. It says, all caps, just so much emotion, such a charged comment on YouTube. Probably one of the most emotionally charged comments on YouTube I've ever seen in my life. It says, "Fuck all you pussy haters." I love this part. Amir kicks fucking. Period. Amir kicks fucking.
It's the best.
Oh yeah, one more thing. That energy and time you wasted bitching and complaining about excellent music by an excellent band could have been spent blowing me. Blowing me. Could have been blowing.
It's perfect.
Instead of complaining about this excellent band. God, excellent, sublime. These are not adjectives to describe that band. You guys, you're listening to this tech podcast and you haven't heard the Amir podcast, go back, check it out. If you want to hear us harp on, well, except Michael, who for some reason liked it because of his information.
Yeah, I never listened to metal music. Kind of like people that don't know about Heartbleed. You have to educate.
At least I still had something essential to offer to it, even though I don't know the details of it. I mean, I feel like I kind of get, the dilemma going on there, at least.
And it's for anybody that missed the Tyga record, pretty much how Eric feels about the Amir record, I feel about the Tyga record. I fucking hated it. So.
Yeah, I picked it, and I was just like, man, I feel bad. But Eric liked it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I liked about 6 songs on it, I guess. The other 9... Huh?
I said out of like 18.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there's about 6 or 7 songs that I just, it gave me a really good vibe. But, the Heartbleed, man, this Heartbleed podcast, it's something also that piques my interest. I don't really know all the details about it. It's something pretty new, I guess. But awesome, because, I'm all about this transparency, technological transparency, governmental transparency, big corporation transparency. Tell us what the fuck y'all doing and stop taking our damn money so you guys can get rich as shit. So.
Yeah, man, and that's what I just wanted to do with the Heartbleed thing, because it's very brand new. It's shaking up the tech industry. A lot of people are having to work to repair it. It's very intricate. Bottom line, just change your password. once it's fixed, just change your password and protect yourself. Like that's all. That's my main message. Just change your password.
I'm gonna do it, dog.
Yep. Change your password, protect yourself. Even though humans are generally good overall, and I truly believe that. So I mean, but once again, that risk still lies there.
That's right. All right, cool, man.
Anything else? Anything else you guys want to add, Jay?
My name is Michael G. IOKISON. Tum for your yum yum.
That's awesome.
That's my new tagline or whatever you want to call it.
What's yours? Tum for your yum yum?
Yeah.
And that is referencing the orange shirt that I wore that I said was Georgetown College orange, and Jay refuted me and said, no, it's Tum Tum orange, as in Tum Tum from the Three Ninjas.
Boom. I love Three Ninjas. Let's do a podcast about Three Ninjas. I will fucking own it.
Yes, and about the two sequels. What's that?
Own it.
That's a Drake reference. That's a Drake song. All right, cool.
But anyway.
Speaking of bleeding hearts,
I could beat him up. Like if it were 1-on-1 and not me against like
his bodyguard,
18 bodyguards. Yeah, I'm sure I could take him. Now the singer of Ymir, I probably couldn't take the singer of Ymir. He might actually be kind of tough, and I have a torn ACL and it's really weak right now.
Oh man.
But Drake, even with a torn ACL, I'm pretty sure I could choke him out. But
I think you could. Yeah. Strong guy. From our Fight Club days. Well,
Drake be a weak ass bitch.
Hey, he's on his worst behavior though.
That's true.
Well, once again, I just want to wrap it up. Eric, thank you so much for joining us, brother. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man. It's been a pleasure, man. It's great to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, it's a blast. I know you're East Coasters. Maybe we get you back on the show some other time. So we'll see how it goes. Jay, thank you very much again, brother. And
thank you.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time in the galaxy, folks. We'll catch you later. Peace.